Starting on the 10-year yields here, we see no change in terms of the market continuing down into wave 4 area here. So we've got wave 3, 4, 5 for wave 3. And wave 3 can be wave C here as well. There's no way I can know at this particular stage, but the A, the B and the C here. The interesting thing on the, as I mentioned last time, on the 2-year yields for the Australian place government where I am here, I can see that the first leg down here is in 3 waves. So we've got a corrective move in the first A wave and then the B wave and the C wave. So in this case, the possibility of being a wave 4 is quite high. And of course, this market is a bit of a dog on a lead, as many other countries, to the US. So that means that this is likely to be a corrective move as well here. So I'll just leave it at that for the time being, but still heading lower here. When a market goes through a previous low, it likes to go back and retest it, and that's exactly what it's doing at the moment. So over to the US dollar. Now, with the US dollar, this is a monthly chart here, and today we're just going to have a look at the bigger picture of this move. So what I understand is that the current move to the upside here can be wave C, or it could be wave 1 with that 5 waves up. Either way, we're going to see further downside. So from this low to this high here, the 50-60% will be down at this level, probably a little bit lower. So I expect this leg coming down here to come down into the 100. This is a CFD product, so it'll be priced a bit differently, but we're looking at 5 waves moving here that's not completed yet. While this is moving down, we'll see commodities, we'll see indices and FX pairs move to the upside, and that's exactly what we're seeing. We'll see some sort of correction once this 5 waves is finished down here, but then because we're getting 5 waves here, then after 5 waves we'll get an ABC correction, and then we'll get another 5 waves down. Could this possibly turn into 5 waves down? Possible, but I don't know that. You know, can it come below here? Is that possible? Yes, it can if it's a C wave up here, but I don't know if it's going to be 5 waves down or 3 waves down. I'll get some idea when we're in this last leg here because of the speed of it in terms of personality. If it's a 3rd wave, it's going to be strong to the downside. As a corrective pattern, it'll be on a slightly different angle and be reluctant to move down. But down into the 9,000, which we can see here, is a really good support. So, you know, while this is doing this in a general sense, we're going to see the rest of the world sort of flip and turn to the upside there. So this is one of my reasons that I'm thinking that, you know, the S&P can be bullish, even though the S&P is really lagging the rest of the world that is opening up to China, such as Europe and Australia and many other emerging countries as well, which we'll have a look at the emerging index today as well. So dollar down, rest of the world up, so to speak, but it's never in a straight line, so we need to navigate that roller coaster. The gold miners here with GDX here. As I mentioned last time we spoke, we'll just also have a quick look at the monthly chart here. I find this rather exciting. Yeah, I mean, the reason I find it exciting is that because it appears that we're getting, which I'm just toying with this move here at the moment. I see that it can be counted in different ways. So I'm just started to toy with it a little bit to look at different possibilities, and I've been sort of sharing those, and we'll look at those again, and we'll look at the absolute minimal count, because looking at the most minimal count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. That's going to give us a deeper correction here. So that's the most dangerous thing. So we need to focus on the most minimalist move to the upside, because it's going to be giving us the most dangerous move to the downside. Once we acknowledge that and we accommodate that in our analysis and our trading, then we'll be free to look at better possibilities to the upside from that point. But what I like about this is that we're getting three waves down here, and now we're moving up here and overlapping this. It doesn't confirm it as a three-wave move, but it certainly helps in that way. Just hold on, my little minky dog wants to escape my lecture here, so I'll just open the door. Job done. And yeah, so I can see this as being impulsive. Whichever way you want to cut this cake, it's still cake, and it's going higher. So I think this is probably one of the best sort of buying on the low sort of opportunities that I can see. And it kind of fits the fundamental side of the world as well, all the money printing and all the other sort of negative things that that we try to get our heads around with all of this. So yeah, I mean, even worse comes to worse, up to sort of 50 here at least. So yeah, anyway, stop dreaming, Pete, get back onto the case. So coming back down onto this current low down here, the most minimalist count that I can get to the upside is 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, the fourth wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, and coming up for the fifth wave here. Now, it doesn't look completed just yet with this, so because this would be important, because after 5 waves, of course, we get an ABC correction. It can come back 61.8% and hit it on the nose. It can come back deeper. Look, it might just come back to the wave 4 of 1 lesser degree. We might just get some sort of an A wave here, B wave here, and a C wave here, and coming into that nice support on top of 3 and in through here, and then we move up from that point. So it would probably be something like that. The other ways we can view this is that this will just continue to move up. It could find support on top of 33 here, and if it does find a tested support, because basically at the way that it's at the moment, it doesn't look like it's finished here, this little 5-wave structure, right? So that means that 26, let's just get this in here, 2650 is the lower end of group 2 here. I won't put the other bit in the middle here, but this group 1 here and group 2, that's the swing range for any correction at this level here. And the normal thing here of the arrival, the reaction, and then 5 waves to the upside, and then the ABC correction coming in within group 2 here is the normal pathway for something. If it finds a tested support on 33 here, then it's not going to pull back. It's going to be pulled up to the 5 at that stage, and then it's going to keep going up here. Now I can see that it needs to go up here further. When I look at one of our local stocks for gold, which is a big one, okay, that's fallen out of bed. So so in this case here, it's got much the same pattern. ABX is a little bit, Barrick Gold is a little bit different, the Canadian one, so traded on the New York desk, but Blue Wave 1, Blue Wave 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third, fourth, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is what we're counting. And the fifth wave here was kind of a little bit rough in here, but anyway, we sort of talked about top being in there and maybe not, and all of those sort of things, and wait and see. So it's sort of fallen out of bed and pulled back now. So we may be, in this ABC correction here now, especially if it takes out that low here of the wave 4 low. That would sort of cement that in, because the only other count that would be up for 1 and back for 2, and then going up here further. So we could be in a wave 2 here at the moment for this. Now, there is other ways to count all of this up through here, as I've just got this wave 1 here, and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and so on. But I have to look at the most minimal count first, and this is it for this. So yeah, and so that means this can be the same here. So we could actually, it could pop up here, and I don't know how it's going to finish. Tops don't, sometimes they finish perfectly, but I find most of the time they're a little bit a bit shaky on the tops because they get pulled around by other markets, that's the thing. So yeah, anyway, this is where this is at the moment for this. So it would be fantastic if we could count this up as wave 1 here, wouldn't it? And then we can come back for wave 2 here, because of the bigger picture. Then we'll be looking to buy, start to build in long positions in this, from around, from we can buy the 61.8% pullback. If we can count this as a 535 structure here, we can go in and buy here, and we can just continue to build over here for this. That's going to be fantastic. If it finds support here and moves up, well, then we'll have to look to go long at this. We'll have to look to go find a long trade over here for this, because it ain't coming back at that point, So we'll need to be a little bit diligent around here so we don't miss the bus. So we'll need to be on time for that. Get our timing right. So yeah, a few things going on here. The bigger picture is a beautiful picture, and we need to kind of start giving this some thought and moving into this. I mean, I have some new crest, but it's kind of better than buying physical gold, because at least you get some sort of small. They throw the bone to you on the dividends on some of these, so it's something, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, that's the gold side of things, and this is Barrick here. Now, Barrick had a different low here. This was the low on GDX and Newcrest Mining, and US spot gold had a bit of a wobbly one here. Do we count that as one on US spot gold and those sort of things? But Barrick had this low here, so we've got to count it a bit differently. So it gives us a different count here. But what I can say is that the count can be, I can see it's a pretty clear count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 3 up here for this, and 4 and 5. But that, it might be pulled around by the other markets, So I don't know what's going to happen here, but what I do know, being a major level, we're going to see some type of corrective pattern here. Now, it could play out in that we just have another little move up here, and we make that high, and we end up having some sort of ABC pattern back here for this, and some other weird sort of thing, really. So what I should do here is really just clear these away here, and let's just, wait and see. Because as a trading from here, this is where you'd normally get out at the 20, and then you wait for the correction here, and then you move back in. But because this is a bigger picture here to the upside, it might be worth holding this position. But that's something for you. As a swing trader, then the dance is over here, and then we look to get back in over here and build. But if you're looking for the longer position things, we'll look at these pullbacks, and we need to shoot the breeze on this a little bit further. But we've got plenty of time. That's what I love about stocks. It's all in slow motion. It's just one day at a time, and you got time to sort of mull it over and think about it, and this and this. It's not trading FX or indices or those sorts of things, So that's that. We don't need to get into that anymore. Now, this is spot gold here. So with spot gold here, when we count GDX and that, we can look at this as wave 1 and 2 here with GDX and Newcrest Mining, and that puts us in the 26th of September rather. So it's possible. So we've got to kind of acknowledge that a bit. So that could be the 1 and 2, and then we'll have to look at, I don't want to look at this as wave 3 here. I'd have to look at this as wave 1 and 2 because of the size of everything here. So we're on the right track with all of this. And I can say that it needs to go higher. We could look at it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 here, and then going up for 5 and looking for a top here. That's possible, Should really look at that a little bit more. And what I'll do with that is I'll just draw that out here just as a 3, 4 here, and then 5, because it might look a little bit odd, but the other thing that you need to realize with commodities is that stocks normally tend to extend in the first wave. Stocks extend in the third wave, and commodities extend in the fifth wave here. And we can see one of the things that we've noticed here is that the market's been getting very tired here. It's been getting all these overlaps here. So the lows of overlapping the previous highs. So I was looking at this yesterday. Well, I've been looking at it for a little while now, and we counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And then I was looking for wave 4 here, and then we sort of made a move up here. But yeah, can I look at that as an ABC correction here now? Can we put wave 4 here? But it's still too small for a wave 4, you know. I mean, wave 2 was pretty simple and sharp. It's giving me a bit of complexity here as an ABC, possibly. I know you could look at it as an A and a B and a C down to here, but not really getting a C wave down here, and the C wave didn't take that low out, so kind of looks like a bit of an expanded flat for wave 4, but it's very small for a wave 4. So, as I mentioned before, I said I was struggling with this, but one thing we do know here is that the bigger trend is up, but the trend here is getting tired here at the moment. I know that it's looking at this and it would like to, you know, get to the finishing line here. That's the other thing with this. We can see that Newcrest is rolling over a bit, and ABX is coming up to $20, so that's going to be stalling there, and so on and so on. So you'll need to be a little bit careful here if you're holding this, but I do see that we should be moving up a little bit further with this, but this is the time to be a bit mindful here. I think what I would like to do is just to bring that down here for a moment. Let's just, you know, because if it rebalances, it can gain its strength again. So I'll just take it from the top. So this can move back. You know, let's just have a look at the scenario here. It can pull back into this low here. I mean, normally I'd expect wave 4 to break the trend line, not so much this trend line, but the 1 and the 2 here of that trend line. So you could sort of go up for that one and then bring it across and look at this one here. So might be a bit close, but it also depends on what time frame you look at things as well, because it will just, they tend to bend it in different time frames. So yeah, it's not moving very far. Maybe I could go 1, 2. I mean, yeah, maybe we could go. Yeah, that's such a, yeah, it's struggling, a bit like the euro at the moment. So anyway, I won't spend any more time on this, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure about this, so I'm just going to leave that. Silver here, so we were looking at this being a wave 4 here. It started to lift off a little bit, which is good. And also to always sort of look for the classic trading levels pattern at a level, and that's, you know, the arrival, not a very clean arrival, but sort of good enough. The ABC for the correction here as the reaction, and then the first high above the level, and then the ABC pattern here for this, and then we can go up again for that. Now, will we go that high? Well, buggered if I know, but we should be going somewhere up here, you know, I don't know. We still need to move, I think we still need to move up here. See, the US dollar hasn't really, you know, the US dollar's been a bit messy as it's been coming down, so it hasn't had a clean move down. So this hasn't been very, the markets that have been affected by that has been the euro, the DAX, and silver here as well, with that, a good reflection of the inverse US dollar, and also dollar yen as well. So yeah, like I said before, as I've always been saying with this, we should be pushing up further. We should have finished our correction here. We are pushing up. It's just, you know, it just won't leave the bar. It just wants to sort of hang at the pub, you know. So, but should go up anyway. That's that. Okay, now this is China, but this is the A50 here, so the top 50 stocks. In China, and the reason I'm showing this for is because this is a commodity video, and these guys are the buyers in a way. So now obviously China, under the CCP have gathered all the steel makers together, and they have decided to tackle the world and the iron ore and other metals in terms of doing collective buying together. And so they're strengthening up their, you know, they're buying on their iron ore and all the rest of it, and they will be getting iron ore online out of Africa, West Africa. That's going to put BHP and, well, Rio, Brazil, out of well, out of pocket really. So, you know, BHP and all that will have to toe the line on cheaper prices, or they will need to create new markets for their products. But apart from that, this move here, as I've mentioned before the other day with this, we can look at this in the most minimalist way possible and look at this as wave 1, 2, 3, 4 and going up for wave 5 here. That would be the minimal thing to do, and then we'll have a deeper correction here, finding support here somewhere and then moving up. Now, you know, if we looked at it like this here, the takeaway here is that, well, this is 5 waves moving up. Okay, so that means that the market is positive, it's bullish, right? Now, the other way to look at this is that, well, this leg here is really quite strong and long here. So this is probably a 3rd wave here. So to look at this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and going up for 3 is about right. So I think that it'll be something like that. I haven't actually pulled it apart here, but this will be, yeah, I have to do some work. I have to see if this is actually connected to that one there, and this is connected to here, and is the elbow connected to the forearm and so on. So yeah, but we should still be seeing it move higher. This is positive here. This is a very positive thing that's going on in China. So this tells me that, you know, they're basically back in business, and people are investing, because you don't always hear about everything, do we? You know, but I can say to you that there's money flowing into China, because I can see it here. It's as simple as that. So there's things going on that we can't see. This is the China, well, the Vanguard Emerging Markets Index, and you know, this will be a little bit like crude oil and some of those other commodity markets. Like, you could probably weave copper into this, and you know, all those sort of metals at that particular point. So yeah, I've always looked at this as the A, the B, the C, the D, and the E over here, over from the 2008 as a triangle pattern, and then up for 1 and back for 2 here. So we looked at this being back for 2 here on, this is a weekly chart, so I'll just go to the daily chart where we've been sort of doing a bit more work on it. So looking at this down here, and I've tried to look at it as a corrective move to the upside. You know, just try to make it, you know, look at the worst possible scenario first. So we looked at this being the low here, and then we started to track it up, and then we said, okay, well, we're getting actually 5 waves up here. This would be get on the level here. This is where we can go long. This is everything's safe. We got 5 waves here, and wasn't a big correction here. So, but we still had, you know, a little high here that we could go long on here. So it's moved off here. This little move up here, I can see that. I haven't counted all, but I can see that there's a beginning here, and you can see that there's a middle here, it's quite strong, and then we can see the sort of the ending. So we've got a beginning, middle, and ending of a structure here. Now, it could just keep pumping up, but I think it would be something like 1 and 2 coming in here. We'll have to check the prices over here to find out the levels and so on, and then continuing to move up at this point. So this is the emerging markets, the Chinese markets. You know, it's telling me that we're sort of back in business at this point. That's what it's all telling me. That's why I see the S&P being bullish, even though the S&P has been, then the Nasdaq have been the weakest globally, because they haven't really, you know, they've got trade wars with China, where Europe are a little bit more open, especially Germany, and the Australians are always happy to do business, and so on. This is over to the green metals now, so we're going to have a look at copper, lithium, uranium, and nickel. And this is just the ETF here. We haven't seen it for a little while, so it's really sort of moving higher here, and it's right on the 61.8%. So looking at this here, it's still telling me that it wants to go up further. So this is a really strong point for looking at, I mean, there'll be copper stocks here, of course, and they can get a bit more excited than the commodity itself at times. But, you know, because we've been trying to figure out, this definitely looks like a 3rd wave. You know, we've got 5 waves here. and then we got a correction as a nice little ABC, and I haven't really spent much time on this, but I could see that we could look at this in a couple of different ways. Whichever way you want to look at it, it's more likely to be a third wave coming up here than an A and a B and a C wave here, because the relationship, normally when you've got an A, B, C, there's a relationship between the length of wave A and C, but in this case this is such a big structure here with beautiful form, so it's highly likely to be a third wave that's still growing through time and space. So when we look at US high-grade copper here, we could probably do the same. We've been looking at it as wave 1 here. I've got this wave 1 up here, but we could probably drop this in over here. So I'm still leaving the A and the B and the C wave here because we're at the 61.8% here. We need to sort of get past a few little things. So as a corrective move to the upside, as an A wave, a B wave here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and then going up for wave 5 here of C. So from 4 to 5, we've been counting up as 1 and 2. And then we've got wave 3 up here, and we've been looking for 4. I don't know if 4's here or here on this, because it's a bit sharp here. Probably okay here by the looks of this. It's, yeah, I don't know. I reckon that could just be the A, the B, and the C to here, kind of like a lazy sort of situation going on here. Support on top of 43, the top of group 1 of medium level 4, 1, 2, 3 group 1. So we're at the 50-60% within here, but support on here will kick this to the upside at that point. We can be up here for wave 5 of 3 for the bullish count, or we're going to be at wave C here. I'm thinking that we're bullish based on looking at the emerging markets and everything else we just sort of looked at, and then we'll have wave 4, but we can't rule out wave C. But as soon as I can identify this here, this move back here being a corrective pattern in some way or another, then we can confirm that we're going to, we've got a lot higher to climb at that point, and a lot higher indeed. We'll be taking this top out and we'll be further up. So we will be moving up to the 50, which is the next level. 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, and then 8. Then we've got medium levels in between all of that. There will be a dance at this level here in its own little way, classic trading levels pattern, but then we should be going up beyond that. So bullish, bullish, bullish. That's the way I'm sort of looking at it, but please note that I can't confirm that just yet. Nothing is confirmed, so we'll just need to be a little bit mindful about things as we go. But yeah, just got to get past a few things, but all looking good at that point. Nickel here. So with nickel, we can look at it as an A wave, a B wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here for the C wave of B, and then we can come down from that point. Now, I don't think that's the case, but, you know, we don't want to stick my head in the ground. If you're going to go long, you need to know the short count, and then you need to eliminate the short count. So eliminating the short count can be looking at it as wave 1 and 2 and 3 up here. That would leave this as wave 4 coming down. It's quite a nice wave 4 as an ABC pattern here. A little bit dodgy in here, and it could be counted differently in here. It could be counted as a triangle, actually, even to this point here as some sort of A, B, C, D, E, an A and a B and a C and a D and an E possible. Yeah. Anyway, it's all a bit wonky at this point here. It's reflecting each other. I'm not quite sure. I haven't had the time to scratch my navel over that one. But what I thought about, basically, if this top gets taken out, then we're bullish at that point. But we can be bullish earlier because we were looking and thinking, well, if we can get 5 waves up here, then that would be, I don't know if that's here or the top there, it doesn't really matter. This is 1 and 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third wave, fourth wave. So we've still got a little bit more here because that could be an ABC at that point. So we've got a little bit more work to do here, but we'll get that. If we get 5 waves here, then what we can do is we can buy the pullback over here in nickel stocks or whatever you want to do at that point. But the fact that we get 5 waves here is a good chance that we're bullish at that point, because we still could look at this as down for one here, an A wave here, a B wave here, and a C wave here, because it's not clean in here. But having the 5 waves here really helps it a lot, and then we can look to go long on this B wave over here. So we're getting there. I mean, I think that it's bullish, but I can't prove anything, and I need to be careful what we say and do in these instances, you know. Anyway, we've just, we've just been monitoring all of this. We didn't want to go long here. We had to wait for the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC pattern. A little bit dodgy in here. You can go and buy in here if you want to, all that, but just not confirmed at this point, because it's just not kind of clear in all of this. But it's looking good, it's looking good. And remember that if, the number, what's after number 3 will be number 5 up here. Still, we've got to get to wave 4, into the next level here. But as things climb, that's what we'll be looking at. We'll be looking way up there. So this is pretty exciting stuff, especially when you look at those emerging markets and gold. When we looked at GDX and those sort of things. So yeah, I mean, I don't normally look that far in the future because it just gets people excited. And it could be over nothing, but. What we're trying to do here is like confirm our initial steps here, and if we were going to get into it, then we're trying to find the right place, time to get into it. So uranium. So normally with uranium and lithium, we go and have a look at the Australian stocks. So this is just URA here as an ETF, but this is very much like we'll be looking at that little, we'll look at Sprox as well. And we've been looking at a stock like this as well, the same as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So we nailed that low in there on one of the stocks and looking to, buying at this point. So we can see a nice clean impulse wave going at this point. So but once again, we got the beginning, we got the middle, and we're at the end of this now. So we're going to see some sort of pullback here. It could climb on itself, and just keep sort of building as well. You just never know, because you either get this sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, that kind of pattern, the basic sort of Elliott pattern, or you can get sort of 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 here. So this would be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here, and then keep building at that point. So you just got to kind of be mindful of those two particular behaviors and do your best to sort of figure it out and see what's sort of going on with it. All of that said, we need to go and have a look at this here. So I'm just going to go to the Australian stocks, and we're going to go down to we're going to have a look at PDN first and then the uranium ones here. So this is the same thing that we looked at just then. So this is slightly different, but we've got with PDN here, an Australian company, we've got wave 1 here and ABC for 2, and we tracked all of this down, and then we're looking to go long here, keeping the stop under here. We've lifted the stop here. We took this top out here the other day, so we want to get in another position there. There can be a pullback there as well. You can look at that in your own way. We can look at the Sprott here, ETF minus here, same here as gain as well as 1 and 2, and then we can look at this as 1 and 2, so it's getting a bit toppy here, so we can pull it back and we can look for a position at this point here. So we'll work on this. We'll let this sort of top out. Look, there could be another top in here as well. I'm not quite sure. I haven't really pulled this apart here. I haven't had time, but the takeaway is that if you like uranium, then we've got an A and a B and a C here. You could count that a bit differently as well, of course, but we're left with 5 here, 3 here, and if we've got 3 here and we're taking out the top of this B wave here, right, which we have done, that means that we'll be taking the top of this one out. So, and then we're confirming that by getting 5 waves here in the opposite direction of the previous trend. So we'll get 5, 3 and 5, we'll be moving up, so we should be getting, taking that top out. So all looking very nice for uranium. And on the lithium side, the Chinese stock here, as I mentioned, these are the 2 sort of biggest ones here. They're still on the on their year of the rabbit. Yeah, so they're still on holidays. That's the 23rd here. I don't know if the rabbit is Mao or Wow. Vietnamese is either Mao or Wow now. Mao Wow. Anyway, year of the rabbit. They haven't come back yet. They have so many holidays. The Chinese are so lucky. So we can look at SQM, which traded last night, and we've been calling this in as a corrective move to the upside. And yeah, well, it's up and it's going to dance around the 90 here, as I've mentioned before. So obviously we can see a little, what do you call it, doji there. So, you know, we'll probably have some sort of pullback in here in due course. The other one that I've got a little bit of pocket money in is Piedmont here, and I just expect this to pull back. So I'm thinking this is some sort of little 1 and 2 in here, and 3 and 4 here, and a wave 5 here. So I kind of see that somewhere in here we're going to get some sort of ABC pattern here, and it'll give me an opportunity to buy some more in here. Obviously the 60 is going to be the support coming through here, or this consolidation before, but then we'll be pushing up at that point. So looking quite good here. What else do we need to look at here? I didn't do an Australian video today because I did it yesterday when there was a holiday, but today I can see that Liontown here has moved up, still moving up on lower volume, so it's moving up on hot air. It's going to come back and test, so don't go chasing it, right? We'll see that. You know, this is divergence, which is you'll see in the indicators, but you don't need indicators for it really. You just need to look at the volume, and it's going up on hot air. So yeah, could probably prove me wrong and see an increased volume and move up higher, but generally speaking, price going up, volume decreasing, that's divergence between price and volume, and they don't tend to go up forever. So the other one here is Pilbara Mines. Now, once again here, we can, well, we're looking at this being a correction back here. So we're looking at this being little 5 waves up here. It was kind of nice, so 1 and 2, and then we're seeing a strong third wave come into play. Once again, this is the beginning here. This is the middle. There will be the end here of wave 4, and then wave 5 is the end. So we'll end up seeing here as well 1 and 2 in here, and then wave 3 here, and wave 4, and then wave 5, and then an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here, and then we'll go up again. So yeah, I mean, if you weren't in it over here, then you really need to wait over here, because you'd just be tying your capital up. I could get it wrong and it could just continue up, but 5 being the second strongest number, I don't think it'll spend a lot of time here. Maybe I've done that too big, because it spent a lot of time here. The wind has been taken out of the sails at this point. But there's definitely a third wave here, and this third wave here, you can see the ranges in the bar diminishing, and yeah, so that's going to fold back probably from around the 530 area, roughly group 1 of 5, and fold back. So that's that really. So it's all good, and yeah, so that's uranium. Now, okay, so we're out of the metals, we're into the energy. So we'll be looking at crude and gas, but we'll look at, last week I think we looked at, or this week we looked at XLE and XOM, and I wanted to look at XOM again here because it's you know, as I mentioned before, I mentioned this here is a bit difficult to count, but you can see the speed in which this is taken off here. So instead of getting a clear 5 waves here, as I mentioned, drew that little picture before, we're probably getting, you know, a whole series of 1s and 2s building here, and then it'll kind of do this sort of thing. I think that's where we're at with this. So yeah, because I couldn't count that. I said, you know, I just didn't want to get into it because whatever. So, but also too, when you think about it, right, if this count is correct with wave 2 here and wave 2 here and wave 2 here, that means the third of the third of the third of the third. So we could probably put this here. I mean, because of the spike, it's probably not right, but anyway, start with that. So this should kind of move up quite nicely, and the reason I'm showing this for again is because taking out the top here is something that, you know, would be with crude oil at this point as well. So we're going to look at crude oil, and this being so bullish here, right, would that put crude oil in a bullish pattern? Because with crude oil off the low, we've only got 3 waves up. So I'll just push this to the side for a moment. This is the same, you know, what the energy sector here. So we've got 1 and 2, what saying 2, 2, 2, third of a third of a third. So we should be picking up speed here. Obviously, I've drawn this before, so yeah, I wasn't sure about. I haven't really investigated all this, to be honest. But yes. Looking quite good at this point. So, I mean, this would be these tops here. That would be the long trade for me. I can't remember what I said before. Maybe I've said it, maybe I didn't, but it's found support on the levels there, and then it's made a new high. It's got the highs above the level, and so that would be the high. That would be it at that point. I mean, still get in. There'll be a little dance on the intraday at 93, because 93, number 3 is group 1 of 90. And then 5 and then 8, and we'll push up here. Shouldn't spend too much time there, so quite a good long trade actually. But the reason I want to showing these two is because of crude oil here. Now, crude oil on the low here, we're, you know, considering this a possible low. It's all a little bit iffy. You know, the 5 waves that we had here were like, really, is that 5 waves? Wave 4's overlapping this, and it's got this and that, and it's not good. And then we were waiting for wave 2, and wave 2 came down like a ton of bricks, and pretty much in a straight line. I mean, wave 2 is supposed to be simple and sharp, and you know, so none of this looked really good, but it was sort of good enough for me to hang on to for the short term. But then what we needed to help confirm it is we needed the next 5 waves here. So because these 5 waves here, as I mentioned before, this can be an A wave here, B wave in blue, and C wave up here, and then come down from this point. Because after all, we, you know, in the bigger picture with all of this, we are in a downtrend here. Are we going to find support here and move up from here? You know, it's been the resistance, it's been the support here, right? And then, you know, it's had it as resistance, and it's coming back and checking, and it's like, well, can we get it as support? You know, that's really all we need to sort of try to understand. And then as support here, I've got this as wave 4 here, maybe, you know, and then looking for wave 5 up here. So I'll just move these out of the way for a moment, because that XOM and what's the name have moved up quite nicely. So yeah, if I put wave 5 over here, and then this is wave 1 here, or wave C here, I haven't got a really nice ABC correction here, so I'm sort of thinking that we still need to be over here. So I'm just got to give it a little bit more time. So if we could actually push up here for a moment, that would give us wave 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, and then have another little correction back here, and then a push up. So we'll either get something like that, or it's just going to keep pushing up. If it's going to keep pushing up, then I'll find a way that we can get in here. Yeah, I mean, don't really even have a nice 5 waves off here yet. Could be 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. You know, I mean, short-term traders could go, you know, if you wanted to have a crack at it, that, because this would be the A wave, some sort of B wave to here and the top here. So going long at this point would be okay. Very high risk, and it's only for the gamblers and the people that love crude and those sort of things. But having sort of support on here, you know, that's a really positive thing. And so buying new highs is just the logical thing to do at this point. So, you know, it may come back and bite you over here on this. You know, you may want to get out if we can find 5 waves up here, but we're seeing these other markets push up. So, you know, what are we seeing over here? What's influencing what here, and so on. So yeah, but I like to be the safe trade, or to call a low in here. To call this low in here, I need to really be convinced that we've got 5 waves finished, and then and that we're taking out new highs here, be it here or be it on the B wave over here for that. That's the safe side of all of this. And this probably won't come back below the level. It'll probably be something like this. So I don't think it would create a lot of damage at this point, because it's really, when you look at it, it had that as a resistance, and now it's got it as support here. So anyway, to call the low in here, I have to move past a 3-wave move here. I think we're going to, based on, going back to the emerging markets and looking at China, and, China needs energy, and so on. So, I think this is where it's coming from. And, so that's that. Alrighty, and then we've got gas. So the Americans are obviously controlling the gas market and driving the price down for Russia, a bit like the Reagan gold days against Russia. For the folks that remember that strategy, America got Canada to sell their gold. They got Australia to sell their gold. Oh dear. I wish Johnny Howard bought it back again, but not to be. Wish our government would buy more gold now and Bitcoin. So anyway, all politicians are pretty much short-term thinkers. So look, far as I can see from this leg here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. We're not there yet. I think I've been saying that we're going to get a correction here, but it's just keeps sort of dropping a bit. We're going to go in and have a look at this and show you what I've got at this point. Like I said, I see us down at $2. So if we get $2, we'll be at $1.80 and probably $1.50. I mean, crazy as it sounds. Just long ago, we're all looking at accounts going further to the upside. But as far as this move down through here, looking at it as an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave, but one could argue the case of having 3 waves down here for this. Looking at this here as a 3rd wave, because you'd have to say that this structure coming down here is such a nice sort of move down here. It just looks like a 3rd wave, doesn't it? Anyway, we're going to go in and have a look at this. Maybe I can just go to the 5K here, see what we've got here. So yeah, we've got that 1 and 2 up here. I've got this counted a bit differently here. No, that's okay. Yeah, it's just another way to count it here as 1 and 2, and then the 3rd wave, 4th wave, and 5th wave here, then 2, then 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 to make 4 and 5 and 4. So we're starting to get into it here a little bit further. So this will make this 1 and 2. This is 3 here with an ABC for 4, and then we've got this move here. So I've had a bit of a look at this move. I think we've got one more leg to come down. So I think we've got this as a wave 4, and we need a wave 5 here, and I think it comes down as 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So I'm going to go from 5K tick to, I'll just have a look at 1,000. Okay, so this is okay at this point. So a bit hard to work out here, but I'm looking at this here as wave 1 here, just into here, and 2, and then 3, and then 4, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the 1 and 2, and then all of this is a 3rd wave, the 4th wave here. So this would be the 38.2% here right on this top. In fact, it would probably be a little bit above that. So we do need to see it drop from here. I'm just going to go to the 100 ticks just to see if I must have done a bit of homework on, yes, okay, I've done a little bit of homework on this, so just checking, check. So from this wave 3 and 4 here, I was counting it down like this, so you can double check it and do your own homework on this. So wave 1 in here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for third, fourth, and 1, 2, 3, 4. That's okay. So that still just makes wave 1 here. So it's my best count anyway at this point. So 1 and 2 and 3 down here. So you can just, I won't bore you to death, but as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, 1, 2, 3, because a nice strong third wave here, the A, the B, and the C for the fourth, and then this little 5 waves down here, fourth. So I think that I'm on the right track here, but this, I have to say, this wave 4 here is bouncing a little bit high. So buyers do want to come in. So we're at the 50% here rather than the 38%. So I'm kind of a bit worried that I've got the count wrong. So look, basically, if the market moves up from here, takes that top out, then we'll probably need to call this low in place over here at that stage. But I'll just give it a little bit of time and see. You know, technically it can come back without overlapping wave 1 here at that point. So we'll just see how this plays out here. But yeah, it just seems like we just need one more little move down here. But I can easily get this wrong, so I don't see a trade here. I'm not interested in trading it. I'm not interested in trading up here into the fourth wave unless I've got a really good reason to. We're probably better on really just waiting for this wave 4 to really mature and try to catch the 5th wave down, and then once we've got the 5th wave down, we'll try to, you know, trade back up again, and this should be self-correcting, and the US would have done what they wanted to do, and with the time that 5th wave comes in, the change in the seasons of the gas usage in Europe and so on would have changed, and so on. So we can kind of roll with that. But yeah, we can trade this wave 4. It's big enough and ugly enough to trade. Just don't trade small wave 4s because they'll just carve you up. So we'll just see how that goes. Okay, well, sorry for such a long video. Just wanted to cover a few things, and just to sort of recap a little bit, is the main takeaways is that in the bigger picture of the scheme of things, the US dollar has got a lot more to come down. It doesn't come down in a straight line, but it is coming down. We are seeing China, we're seeing money flow into China because I can see it coming into the top 50 companies there. So folks that are close to China, you know, the money flow, got to follow the money. The money's going into China. So if the money's going into China, we're going to see all the metals, green metals, energy, not gas, of course, but crude oil. You know, we're seeing that all come in on the positive side. So you know, we're seeing some of the indices, you know, the DAX being really strong. We're seeing the Australian market being strong. We're seeing iron ore strong as well. You can see iron ore in the Australian videos with the iron ore stocks. So we're seeing that really, you know, we're seeing things shore up a lot, you know. It's just that the we all focus on the S&P and the NASI and those stocks, you know, but we know those FANG stocks are, you know, they got smashed, you know, they were overpriced, they've got smashed, but, you know, as somebody said, you know, the US is still the best bet, even though it's, you know, still a dirty shirt, so to speak. Yeah, the US indices are the last ones to push to the upside, really. I mean, the industrials, yeah. So, yeah, I think the US will catch up, the S&P 500, and we're kind of putting buys out on the S&P at the moment, finding support on the 4,000. So everything's looking quite good for the S&P at this point in time. As long as it stays above 4,000, I'll be positive. Okay, that's that. Yeah, I think gold stocks, the pullback on GDX and gold stocks will be one of the better buying opportunities and safest buying opportunities coming into the market, I reckon. Anyway, that said, I'll sign off and enjoy the weekend. Cheers.